ilang oras na lang, at ang buhay mo sa bangko ay hindi na magiging pareho. Tonight, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas rolls out sweeping new rules that will affect every single Filipino with a bank account, an e-wallet, or an online transfer history. Hindi ito rumor. Hindi ito speculation. This is happening tonight. Are you prepared? Or will you be caught completely off guard? Here's what most people don't know yet. These new regulations change how your money moves, how your identity gets verified, and in some cases, whether your transactions even push through at all. Thousands of Filipinos are already scrambling for information, and the sad truth is, the banks aren't calling you. They're not sending urgent text alerts. You have to find out yourself. That's exactly why you're watching this video right now. Because you had the instinct to look before it's too late. Sa loob ng ilang minuto, ibubunyag namin ang exactly kung ano ang nagbabago, kung sino ang pinakaapektado, at ang mga hakbang na kailangan mong gawin ngayon bago maggabi. Whether you're a regular depositor, a small business owner, or someone who sends money to family, this affects you directly. Huwag kang palampasin ng impormasyon na ito. If this warning reached you in time, smash that like button right now so this reaches every Filipino who still needs to know. So let's not waste a single second because the clock is already ticking. What you're about to hear in the next few minutes could save you from financial confusion, unexpected account restrictions, or worse, losing access to your own hard-earned money at the worst possible time. Stay with me, because every part of this matters. Let's start with the big picture. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, has been quietly building toward this moment for months. Behind closed boardroom doors, regulators have been drafting, revising, and finalizing a new set of banking rules that are designed to modernize the Philippine financial system, strengthen security, and here's the part that directly affects you: change the way ordinary Filipinos interact with their banks on a daily basis. These aren't minor tweaks. These are fundamental shifts in how the system operates, and whether you bank with BDO, BPI, Metrobank, Union Bank, GCash, Maya, or any other financial institution in the country, you are going to feel these changes. Now, before we get into the specific details, let me be clear about something. This isn't a story about the government trying to make your life harder. The intention behind these new rules is genuinely protective. The BSP has been watching the rise in financial fraud, account hacking, unauthorized transactions, and identity theft across the country, and they've decided that the old way of doing things simply isn't enough anymore. The digital age has opened up enormous opportunity for Filipinos, but it's also opened up enormous risk. And tonight, the regulators are drawing a new line in the sand. The first and perhaps most immediately impactful change involves identity verification. If you've opened a bank account in the last 5 years, you're probably familiar with the KYC process. Know your customer. You submitted a valid ID, maybe a selfie, signed some forms, and you were good to go. Under the new regulations, that baseline is no longer considered sufficient. Banks and financial service providers are now required to implement what regulators are calling enhanced due diligence, or EDD, for a much wider range of customers and transactions than before. This means that even existing account holders, people who have been with their bank for years, may be asked to re-verify their identity, update their personal information, or submit additional documentation. If your bank sends you a notification asking for this, do not ignore it. Do not assume it's spam. It is a compliance requirement, and failing to respond could result in your account being flagged or temporarily restricted. This might sound alarming, but here's the perspective you need to hold on to. This process exists to protect you. One of the most common tactics used by scammers and fraudsters in the Philippines right now is account takeover, where a criminal gathers enough of your personal information to convince your bank that they are you. By strengthening the verification process, the BSP is making it significantly harder for anyone to impersonate you and drain your savings. Yes, it means a little more paperwork, but it also means a much stronger wall between your money and the people who want to steal it. The second major change, and this one is going to affect a lot of people who use digital wallets and mobile banking apps, involves transaction monitoring and reporting thresholds. For years, there has been a specific peso threshold above which banks were required to report transactions to the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLC. That threshold is being adjusted, and the scope of what gets flagged for review is being expanded. Now, what does this mean for the average Filipino? If you're someone who regularly sends money to family in the province, pays suppliers for a small business, or receives income through digital channels, some of your transactions may now appear on the radar of automated monitoring systems. This doesn't mean you're suspected of anything. It doesn't mean you're in trouble. What it means is that if you receive a message from your bank asking you to explain the nature of a transaction, you should respond promptly and honestly. Keep records of your transfers. Know who you're sending money to and why. In today's financial environment, documentation is your best friend. Let's talk about something that a lot of people are quietly panicking about right now, and that's the new rules around dormant accounts and unclaimed funds. This is an area where a lot of ordinary Filipinos are going to get caught off guard if they're not paying attention. Under the updated regulations, the definition of account activity has been tightened. It used to be that simply logging into your mobile banking app counted as activity, even if you didn't make a transaction. Under the new rules, actual financial movement, a deposit, a withdrawal, a transfer, is required to keep an account classified as active. If your account sits without genuine transaction activity for the qualifying period, it moves closer to dormant status. And once an account goes dormant, accessing it becomes significantly more complicated. It doesn't mean the money disappears, but it does mean you'll have to go through a process, sometimes involving a branch visit, identity verification, and paperwork to reactivate it. So if you have an old savings account that you haven't touched in a while, now is the time to log in and make a small transaction. Move 100 pesos. Make a transfer. Keep that account alive and active, because the last thing you want is to need that money urgently and find yourself locked out. Now let's move to something that's particularly relevant for small business owners and freelancers. And in today's Philippines, that's a massive segment of the population. If you receive payments through GCash, Maya, or any other e-money platform, and those payments come from clients, customers, or business partners, you need to understand how the new rules around e-money accounts are changing. The BSP is tightening the regulatory framework around e-money issuers, requiring them to apply many of the same compliance standards that traditional banks follow. This includes stricter limits on unverified accounts, enhanced monitoring of high-volume accounts, and new requirements around how businesses must register and classify their digital wallet use. If you've been using your personal GCash or Maya account to receive business payments, you may soon be required, or strongly encouraged, to upgrade to a verified business account. The platforms themselves are going to be rolling out communications about this, but don't wait for them to come to you. Get ahead of it. Visit your e-wallet provider's help center, check whether your account is properly verified, and make sure your transaction history is clean and documented. Here's another area that deserves serious attention tonight, and it's one that affects families across every income level in the country. Remittances. The Philippines is one of the top remittance-receiving nations in the world. Millions of families depend on money sent home by loved ones working abroad, in the Middle East, in Europe, in North America, in Asia. The new BSP regulations include updated guidelines for remittance service providers, both on the sending and the receiving end. This means that the process of sending money from overseas to the Philippines, or even sending money within the country through accredited remittance centers, is going to come with stricter documentation requirements. Senders may be asked for more detailed information about the recipient. Recipients may be required to present valid identification even for smaller amounts. This is part of a broader global effort to combat money laundering and illegal fund transfers, and the Philippines, as a major remittance corridor, is very much in the spotlight of international financial regulators. If your family depends on remittances, communicate with your loved one abroad now. Make sure they are sending through fully accredited channels. Make sure the receiving party has valid, up-to-date identification ready. A small amount of preparation today can prevent a very stressful situation tomorrow. Let's take a moment to talk about digital banking in the broader sense, because it's important that you understand just how quickly the landscape is changing and how these new rules fit into that bigger picture. In the past 5 years, the Philippines has seen an explosion in the number of Filipinos who have gone from being completely unbanked to actively using digital financial services. This is genuinely one of the most positive economic developments in the country's recent history. The BSP has been one of the driving forces behind this shift, pushing for financial inclusion, promoting digital payment systems, and encouraging fintech innovation. But with rapid growth comes growing pains. The regulatory framework that exists tonight is more sophisticated than what existed even 2 years ago, and it will continue to evolve. Tonight's changes are not the last word. They are the next chapter. The best thing you can do as a Filipino consumer, as a depositor, as a business owner, is to stay informed, stay compliant, and stay engaged with your financial service providers. And speaking of staying informed, let's talk about scams, because this part is absolutely critical and it ties directly into tonight's regulatory changes. Whenever there is a major announcement about new banking rules, scammers are ready. They are watching the news just like you are, and they are preparing to exploit the confusion. In the hours and days following tonight's announcement, you are going to see text messages claiming to be from your bank, asking you to click a link and verify your account. You are going to see social media posts with urgent warnings, directing you to update your banking information through a website that looks legitimate but isn't. You are going to receive phone calls from people claiming to be bank representatives, asking you to confirm your account number, your PIN, your one-time password. Let me be absolutely direct with you. Your bank will never ask for your PIN or your OTP, ever. No legitimate banking representative will ever ask you for those details over the phone or through a text message. If you receive any communication that asks for sensitive information and claims it's related to these new banking regulations, hang up, delete the message, and call your bank directly using the official number on the back of your card or on their official website. Scammers thrive in moments of confusion and urgency. Don't give them the opening. Now, let's talk about what you should actually do right now, tonight, to make sure you are on the right side of these changes. The first thing is simple. Log into your banking app or online banking portal and confirm that your personal information is accurate and up to date. Your name, your address, your contact number, your email address. Make sure everything matches your current valid identification. If there are discrepancies, contact your bank to have them corrected before the bank's compliance systems flag the mismatch as a problem. The second thing you should do is review your recent transaction history and make sure you can account for every significant movement in your account. If there are transactions you don't recognize, report them to your bank immediately. Don't assume everything is fine just because you haven't noticed a problem yet. The third thing is to make sure your accounts, all of them, including dormant or infrequently used ones, have had recent activity. As we discussed earlier, the new definition of active accounts is stricter, and you don't want to discover that an account you care about has gone dormant at an inconvenient moment. Beyond those immediate steps, there is a longer-term mindset shift that these new regulations are really calling for. For too long, many Filipinos have treated their bank accounts as passive holding places, somewhere to keep money until it's needed, without much thought given to the account's standing, its compliance status, or its documentation history. The new regulatory environment is demanding something different. It's demanding that you be an active, aware, informed participant in your own financial life. That means understanding the terms and conditions of your accounts. That means knowing your rights as a depositor. That means understanding what the BSP's Consumer Protection Framework entitles you to when something goes wrong. And it means building a relationship with your financial service providers based on transparency and trust, because that is the only kind of relationship that will serve you well in the years ahead. There's one more thing I want to address before we wrap up, and it's something that doesn't get talked about enough in these conversations: financial literacy. The reason that so many Filipinos are vulnerable to scams, to account problems, to being caught off guard by regulatory changes is not because they are careless or unintelligent. It's because the financial education system in this country has historically not given people the tools they need to navigate an increasingly complex financial world. The BSP knows this, the banks know this, and to their credit, many of them are investing more heavily in consumer education than they ever have before. But the responsibility doesn't end with institutions. It begins with you. With each person who decides to take their financial life seriously, to stay informed, to ask questions, to share what they learn with family and friends who might not have access to the same information. If you learned something valuable today, share this video. Send it to your parents, your siblings, your friends who bank in the Philippines. The more informed our communities are, the more resilient we become as a whole. Tonight marks a real turning point. The Philippine banking system is stepping into a new era, one that is more secure, more accountable, and more aligned with international standards than ever before. That is genuinely good news for every hardworking Filipino who has ever worried about the safety of their savings, the integrity of their transactions, or the reliability of the financial system that underpins their daily life. Change always comes with a period of adjustment. There will be moments of inconvenience. There will be questions that need answering and steps that need to be taken. But on the other side of that adjustment is a stronger, safer financial environment for all of us. So, take action tonight. Update your information, check your accounts, stay alert for scams, and keep watching this channel, because as these new regulations roll out and as new developments emerge, we will be here, breaking it down, keeping it clear, and making sure you always have the information you need to protect yourself and your family. Ang iyong pera, ang iyong kinabukasan, ito ang worth fighting for. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.